Good evening, everyone. This is Composition 1, and we are now on week number 4. This lecture is for Thursday, April 9th. And let me quickly just bring you up to speed. There's a PDF file called April Update that was uploaded on the weekend. Please read the details and follow the instructions carefully. This class hasn't had a makeup class yet, so this weekend this coming weekend there will be. So be aware that we're going to have an extra class coming up because this Saturday will be the makeup for the class way back in March in the first week. Okay, so be aware this weekend you need to log in again a second time. Now, also there was an issue with the CNO portal and the classes being activated. So if you didn't get credit for last week's lecture and logging in, don't worry. What I just did was I extended last week's until April 12th. Okay, so if you log in and do your 60 minutes this week, you'll get credit. Even if you had a problem last week, you'll get double credit. Okay, that's the only thing I can do. So that's what has happened. So don't worry about it. As long as lecture number 3 and number 4 are complete by this Sunday, then you're fine. Now, the homework assignments, there were a few questions about it. I think it's pretty straightforward, so you just have to read carefully what the instructions are in the textbook. So I'm not going to go over that again. When I write the lecture summary for this week, I will make an effort to explain again exactly what to do and repeat myself. But as I said to you before, I want you to listen to the video lecture first. I want you to pay attention and listen to what I say here first. So the lecture summary is not going to be uploaded on Thursday. It'll be delayed 2 or 3 days to give you a chance to watch this and get credit for watching the video lecture first, and then the lecture summary will go up and you can read that, and if that will maybe provide you with another opportunity to understand or to clarify things that I've said in the video lecture. As I've said to my other classes, I've enabled the subtitles, so all you have to do is click, I think in Korean it's chamak, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not. If you click on that button, you can see the English subtitles are generated as I speak. It's not me doing it, it's a function that's available for YouTube. So there are occasionally mistakes because of my pronunciation or because, Google's not perfect. So sometimes I say it properly or I say it with a Canadian accent, and the subtitle on the bottom is not as accurate. But I would say it's above 90%, probably closer to 95% accurate usually, even when I speak fast. So feel free to turn on the English subtitles or not, listen carefully, or turn on the subtitles, it's up to you. Now, we are using the textbook in this class. It is this one, Writing Paragraphs. I've used this for the last 10 years. I've been wanting to switch to a different book, but for Composition 1, I can't find one that's better. This is the basic skill I want you to learn is paragraphs, and Dorothy Zemach is very famous. She's been publishing for MacMillan for a long time, and I do think her books are really good because for the entry-level college student in Chungnam National University, there's a lot of basic skills that need to be developed, and this textbook is really skill-based. It's there's a lot of exercises in it, so a lot of the homework you've already found out that a lot of the homework comes straight out of the textbook. So today will be no exception. There will be some homework from the textbook, but I'm going to put a little bit of a different spin on it for you. This might be a shorter lecture, which you'll probably be happy about. I'm expecting it only to be around 20 minutes. Usually there's less talking involved in a writing class because I would from time to time be supervising you walking around and doing sort of like a writing workshop. That's one of the disadvantages of not being in the classroom with you, is I unfortunately can't walk around between your desks and look at you write in real time and give you advice and encouragement and check your mistakes. And that, I miss that, because I think that's very helpful. I think writing workshops motivate students to write more, and they're very helpful. And it's the one-on-one thing that we don't have. But this is what we do have, so we're going to work on things. There won't be any one-on-one stuff this semester, probably, because I just got a notice today saying that potentially we will not be having classes, just maybe exams. So I will make a decision about that this week, and there'll be another update file forthcoming to explain to you exactly what the plan is. But this class doesn't have a midterm anyway, so we don't have to delay or cancel or replace a midterm because we don't have one. So that was great forethought on my part, I guess. So we are on chapter 2, but just the very last page of chapter 1 is page 12. There's a little checklist, and at the top there's a heading called Put It Together. So I just want you to have a look at this before you do your assignment this week, because there's a little checklist, part B on the page. It says, did you, and there's 4 things you need to check. Include a heading, right? Information about yourself. This is composition 1, my name, the date, your name, and the title. All that information at the top should be there. This is formatting. Follow the format paragraph properly that you were supposed to read in the very first week when you bought this book. That's on page 2. That's in the introduction, not in the first chapter. Did you start and end each sentence correctly with proper punctuation and capitalization? This is basic stuff that I haven't lectured about because you know how to do it. Just make sure you do it. And did you, the last thing is what I already said. Did you give it a title? Just saying assignment number 2 is not good enough. I don't expect you to have think a long time and come up with the best title you've ever thought of. This is not your first novel or something like that. But I want you to make a title that's relevant, and there are some rules for making titles, which are also in the introduction, so you can refer to them. Okay. So chapter 2, the title of chapter 2 is Giving and Receiving Gifts, and I want to tell you a really quick little story, an anecdote, if you will. That's just a fancy word for a personal story. I remember a lecture. I don't know why I remember this lecture so well, but it must have made an impression on me. I had a class called Contemporary Critical Theory, which is one of the hardest classes I ever took as an English major. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, or I should, use the professor's name, but the professor was one of my favorite professors, but he was also one of the most difficult. And he chose to lecture that day on a philosopher, a French philosopher, very famous writer and professor named Jacques Derrida. Now, you may, if you know him, good for you. You're smarter than me and more educated than me, because when I was a third-year student and he told me who he was, I did not know. This is not everyday reading. Jacques Derrida writes basically very, very analytical, deconstructionist type stuff that only upper year or other professors would be interested in. It's not the type of thing that you would pick up because, it's right beside Harry Potter on your bookshelf. It's not. But nonetheless, the whole lecture actually revolved around this idea of a gift. This is my point. Jacques Derrida wrote an entire book about gifts and whether the idea of a gift was actually possible. And I mean, a lot of the argument that he came up with is reducing gift giving to altruism. And altruism means giving something to somebody without getting anything in return. So what a real gift is, in the philosophical sense, would be something that a human being actually wouldn't be able to do. That's what his argument is, right? If you're religious, you're talking about the kind of gift like God's grace, right? Now, I know some people are religious and some people are not, and some people are very religious and some people are a little. But that's one of the fundamental things, if you believe in a religion, it depends on which religion you belong to. But let me just say, for example, the ones that are monotheistic, Islam and Christianity in particular, one of the elements that is so important to that faith is the fact that you get forgiven without giving anything in return. And only God could do that. Only something that's not human, something that's supernatural could really give a real gift. Because let's be honest, if you give a gift to someone, and I love gift giving, so don't get me wrong, but giving gifts can give you a certain amount of happiness too, right? And so, even if it's something silly, like I cooked dinner for my girlfriend, now I have a wife, but you know what I mean. If you make dinner for somebody, you can consider that some sort of, present to them. That can be part of you can buy something, or you can make something, or you can prepare something. But when you do that and you give it to them and they appreciate it, you're wanting something, especially if it's a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You want their various things. I won't get into what you want from them, but basically you want them to like you more. And you want them to give you something back, whatever that may be. Maybe it's just a smile or a kiss on your cheek or other things. Maybe they'll make dinner for you. In my case, that's usually the best kind of deal is like, I make a really good dinner for you, so tomorrow you got to make a really good dinner for me. But this is the relationship that human beings have when they give gifts. So even if it's not something tangible, you're going to get something in return, some sort of positive feeling, satisfaction, some sort of reward. So essentially, Jacques Derrida says that a gift is just an idea. It's not a real achievable thing. It's much more complicated than that, but I think my students like me to reduce these things and make them as concise as possible. There's the magical C words coming out again. That's my concise version of a gigantic book full of really intelligent, detailed deconstruction. Derrida, if you care. I'll put it in the lecture notes. I'll put a link for you if you want to check it out. Okay? Now, moving on. In this book, we're not talking about Derrida. We're not talking about gift philosophy. So we are going to focus on, when you give a gift, what kind of things do you get out of it? Do you choose to remember? Do you remember giving gifts or receiving gifts? Or maybe, it could even be a gift that somebody else got that that made you feel jealous, right? When I first came to Korea, everybody walked around saying the word envy all the time. And I got told a few times certain things that I never thought anybody would care about. Like, some people said I had a nice nose or something like that. I don't like my nose, and I'm not trying to say anything positive about it, but I got a lot of comments for some reason. About 13 years ago, when I was in my 20s, when I came here, people were like, they said they envied my nose. And that gave me a really weird feeling. It gave me this kind of impression that if they could steal my nose, and they would, And that's, envy is not quite the right word sometimes, because envy means jealousy. It means you want, you have this feeling of wanting to take it. And if you want to talk about a gift that somebody else got, that was really awesome, and it made you really want it too. That's human, that's normal human behavior. You got to control that, obviously, and not take that toy or car or beautiful thing that you got, or resent somebody because somebody else did something amazing for them. That's not nice behavior. We all know that. But when you're doing this assignment today, which I'm setting up right now, is I want you to talk about a gift. On page 13, it talks about, because what we want to do is write a paragraph this time. And again, this will be in the lecture summary to back up what I'm saying. But the bullets at the top of this chapter say, this is what you want to try to do this week. You want to identify topics and main ideas, identify strong and weak topic sentences, and practice writing topic sentences, and combine sentences using conjunctions to make them more complicated. So basically, we're going after the beginning of a good paragraph, making the start of a paragraph better, and then linking the ideas to each other. That's what this chapter is about. Okay, so it's more of the first two C's that I talked about: being clear and having a really exact topic sentence, and then being coherent and connecting the sentence that follow to that main idea at the beginning. So the topic is gifts. You need to choose a gift that you remember well. That's the key. It doesn't really matter, like I said, if you gave the gift or you received it or somebody else gave it or received it, but you remember it well so that you can provide me with details. And you have to make an argument about it, like the tiny short little paragraph that the person wrote here. Now they only have 7 sentences, and I'm going to say I want you to write at least 10. I want a half a page. I don't want this tiny little paragraph. Even if it's an amazing paragraph, I want a little bit more content. So 10 sentences minimum, okay? If it goes down to the end of the page, that's enough. Stop. You're going too far. So 10 sentences minimum, half a page would be about the right length. And then please don't go further than one page. Normally I ask people to double space just because I like to physically write on things, but since I don't know where you guys are and I can't meet you in my office or anything because that's not allowed, I don't care if it's double spaced. Make sure it's not, type 8 font, type 12 font. Not, students always ask, well, can I do it in 6? No, just normal size font, not so tiny that I can't read it and not so big that there's only 14 words on the page, okay? So depending on the font, like 10 to 14, but 12 is a good, measure of the right kind of font size, okay? 12 or 14, no bigger than that. Otherwise, you're just not writing enough. So you got to choose a gift, memorable, make a topic sentence, and it should concern something. You need to have an idea, right? This is, the best birthday gift I ever received because, and give a reason and then support your, statements. Or like they say here, maybe there's a concept that you're working with, like the best kind of presents are ones that are causing an emotional response, like this one. Or something has to be, the older it is, the better. Or it's the first one I can remember in my life, right? Or you make a choice, like you make a statement and you make a choice. You have to give a reason for why you chose this gift, though. As I said just a few minutes ago, if it's because it made you jealous, then that's part of your topic sentence. I want to talk about this gift because it made me jealous of my best friend because her boyfriend got this amazing gift for her. Or I was jealous of my brother because my parents got this amazing gift or did this for him, but they didn't do it for me. And I'll never forget that. Okay, so go with that. The organization, the clarity of the sentence at the beginning, and the organization of the paragraph is the main thing that you want to focus on this time, okay? Obviously, vocabulary, like I said to you originally, vocabulary and grammar, they also count, but organization, the argument and the organization are the fundamental things we're working towards improving this semester. I'm not perfect at it, so I don't expect you to be either, but we want to get better at it, okay? Now, for the second part, that's your main assignment for this week. For the second thing I want you to do, rather than you hand it in, I want you to actually do this in the textbook, okay? And I'm warning you, if you don't do it, I'm not going to check it, but this is going to be in the exam. So if you don't understand it and you don't do these questions, then you're going to have trouble on the exam. And that'll be the consequences of not doing your homework. So it'll come back to haunt you later. And I don't need people asking me before the exam, how do I do this? You do it this week. If you have problems with it, you send me an email. If you send it to me in June, it's too late. Okay? So I want you to actually physically do this. Okay? I hopefully didn't flash you the answers there, but I did the answers in my book. If you have somebody else's book, you're cheating and you're not learning how to do that. So again, that's not going to help you in the exam because I'm going to do the same question on the exam, but I'm going to change. The sentences are going to be completely different. So if you have an old textbook that another student used 5 years ago from my class, and you have all the answers, good for you. But you don't know how to do it. So when it comes to the exam, you're going to have trouble doing it. So that's not very helpful, is it? So again, I always tell my students, get a new book. This book is not expensive. If all the answers are there from another student's effort, then it's going to catch up with you on the exam. And the exam's going to be worth, because of all this online stuff, the exam's going to be worth like 40%, maybe more. So I've given you my speech. I'm not going to, nag you. This is not high school or middle school. This is university. It's up to you to be responsible. So you need to do, on page 14, you need to do number 3. There's some advice right above it about writing good topic sentences. Use that. Refer to that when you write your paragraph. And then do number 3 and do it in the book. I don't need to see it. What I'm going to do on the lecture summary for next week is I'm going to give you the answer. So there'll be an answer key. So you do it yourself, and then next week I will put up an answer key file, and you can access that and you can see if your answers are right. Okay? And if they're wrong, you can fix them. But for now, I want you to do them. So page 14, number 3. Skip number 4, not worried about that. Number 5, you really have to analyze basically whether this is a good topic sentence or not. So there are 2 choices. Choose the one that's better, and the bullets will give you advice on how to make that choice. So that's on page 15. And on page 16, I want you to do number 6. Okay? And that is taking an idea, writing down the idea, taking that phrase, that kernel of an idea, and turning it into a proper topic sentence. So you need to do number 3, number 5, and number 6. That's page 14, 15, and 16. Do them in the textbook. I will give you the answer key after next week's video lecture. Now, the paragraph on the gift, that is due next Thursday. Next Thursday's class is, what day is it? April 16th. So the gift is due April 16th. The homework in the book, you do it yourself. And after the 16th, I will give you an answer key. And you can check whether the exercises you did were correct or not. And you can send me emails to ask questions. Because, like I said, I will use those types of questions, these ones. So, usually I say to my students, circle that page, 14, 15, 16, put a star on it or something. Because when you're studying for the exam, come back to these pages, look at what you did. It's kind of almost like doing math in a way, right? It's like a formula. If you can make a complex sentence, you can just substitute different words in there, just like you would with a formula in math. And I know lots of English majors and people who take this class hate math, but there are, if you take linguistics or you do writing, there are ways of adding things together, and there are kind of, like I said, formulas to how the language is constructed. So if you, rather than just memorizing or studying, as you would, my favorite example is history or biology, and I know that's not always true as you get older and do more advanced biology and history, but at first you need a body of knowledge in those classes, so you need to remember a lot of stuff. This class is not about memorizing the textbook. You need to do the exercises and know how to do them, so when I give you similar ones, just like you would in math, I'll give you similar ones on the exam that you can recognize the patterns, and then you can answer the questions. And that's how you do well in this class. And this is how you improve your writing. so that you can do well in other classes too. It's not a secret. Okay? So that's my advice, and that's your assignments. As always, I'm available by email. Please remember, I get, these days, because we're online, I get a huge amount of emails, usually 40 or 50 a day. It's pretty nuts. I usually say, give me 24 hours to get back to you, but I'm going to say, you got to give me more than that this semester because there's just so many. If I get too many questions at once, you might be in queue for a while. So please, at least 24 hours ahead if you want a quick response. So far, I've been pretty good at turning around in one day, but I think as the semester goes, it'll get worse, not better. So if you can, please give me 48 hours or more to get back to you. And if I do not get back to you by, 2 days' time, email me again. I don't mind if it's my fault. I forgot. It got mixed up. Email me again. Remind me. Say, Professor, I asked you a question. Please answer me. And I promise I will. Okay? Thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you again next week. Good night.